Ready? Play.
Listen, let's reflect on Rybakina first. It's a match I saw from start to finish. Just before I click live, Brenner, you mentioned like this shoulder issue that was apparent in the first set. It was apparent, Brenner, because she was kind of doing this at a changeover. And
Yep.
it was like, oh, okay. And she's losing. And, it did seem a bit lethargic in a way from her in the first set. But she is one of those players, Brenner, that's from time to time, you're going, is she okay? She's not moving that well. And it sometimes it's just Rybakina, right?
Right. She was also shaking her head during the changeovers
Exactly.
towards her team. So, but yes, I mean, when I think about Rybakina, she probably plays the most out of anyone on the tour, and especially had to play a little bit more and give a little more effort towards the end of the season to get
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, yes, it is paying the you pay the cost there. But I mean, her post match interview with Coco Vandeweghe was, pretty straightforward. It's hurting me. I can manage it. One more match
Okay.
in the season. Hopefully, I feel good enough to go tomorrow.
That's interesting. So I didn't know about this interview with Coco Vandeweghe, and so she brought it up, or did Coco bring it up?
Coco did. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah.
But it is bothering her. And I during my commentary today as well, I brought up the amount of tennis that she has had to play compared to her peers in this tournament, because she's had to chase that final spot down, hasn't she? So she's the one who had to play Ningbo and play a few more matches and keep winning, and then pull out with what she said at the time, I think, was a back injury. But anyway, regarding her form in this tournament, 4 matches, 4 wins against top 10 players. Yeah, of course, both her and Sabalenka are the only 2 players unbeaten, so it does kind of feel right that they're both in the final. But reflect on Rybakina's tournament, then we'll reflect on Sabalenka's shortly.
Yeah, I mean, once again, like I had her high on my list. I had her advancing out of her group just because of, I guess, kind of recency bias in terms of her form and um, I guess like kind of mentality in terms of really in like hot pursuit to get to the WTA Finals. She gets here, ready to go. It didn't take her long to adjust. Huge win over Anisimova, and then against Iga, slow start, but then essentially couldn't do wrong, and
Right.
and carried that through. I mean, let's see, dropped 2 sets, 4 matches. So yeah, I mean, there's not much to pick apart. I mean, obviously, we talked about the shoulder bothering her a bit, but as we
Mm-hmm.
saw as the match went on, she started to loosen up. Was serving huge, 15 aces. So, I mean, that's kind of where you need to start, especially when you're playing such a good player on the other side of the net. You have to be serving well. That's her biggest weapon, and then the ground strokes kind of go from there. And I think she has a lot of momentum starting with that big serve, but right now it's about kind of how you start, especially against Sabalenka. You don't want to get behind. So that shoulder is going to be a big deal tomorrow.
It is. We'll see if how much Sabalenka tests it. Of course, I expect it to be tested, but as you say, serving wasn't a problem. Even in the first set, by the way, when obviously Rybakina was struggling, serving seemed to, even though she got broken twice, it was actually, to be honest with you, it was the rest of her play that wasn't working. Arguably, even for 2 sets today, she hit, I think, 48 unforced errors across the first 2 sets. She kind of got better every set, but she couldn't get much worse. 25 in the first set, 23 in the second, and I think it was 19 unforced errors in the third in that win over Pegula today. But I'm painting a kind of a negative picture in a way there. The serving was great. She's now, as I say, on a roll. She's dropped 2 sets. I mean, this is top 10 players. I think it's tough. It's great that we have, by the way, the 2 players that are unbeaten in this tournament. We often will find a rematch between 2 players. One player wins the group match, and then they play each other in the final, and it ends up being reversed. But I wonder when it was the last time actually we had a WTA Finals shootout between 2 unbeaten players. I mean, it's tough enough to beat 1 top 10 player, but to beat 4 back-to-back is very, very impressive. I've seen most of her matches, and so most of her matches also from start to finish. And yeah, I would in a way say that today was probably slightly less impressive than some of her other wins. I thought Pegula also maybe didn't have it. It wasn't the highest. It reached a crescendo today in the third set, but I think the first two sets was patchy from both players. I felt a bit uncomfortable for Elena for the first set and a bit anyway. As soon as the rally started, I was just waiting for the error, basically, and that's kind of what happened. But as I say, I sound very negative. In the group stages, she was phenomenal. None more so than when she came from a set down, like today when she beat Iga Swiatek. And obviously, she also won against Paulini. And who was the other person in her group? Madison Keys, was it?
Yes, it was, but she dropped out. Alexandrova.
Of course it was, yes. She had a straight sets win over
Mhm.
Alexandrova as well. Anyway, Sabalenka on the other side of the net. Tell me about what you think about her in this tournament thus far.
Impressed. I mean, that's as bluntly as I can put it. And, she just continues to raise her own bar, I think, John, in terms of her
Yeah.
ability to, continue to escape whatever trouble she gets herself into. Again, today, so tense, so emotional, screaming a lot in that third set, getting out of jams. So, I mean, you see how much it means to her, and she expects such a high level out of herself, but on the opposing side, it's been very, very solid as well, and I guess the ability to match her. But you have to tip your cap for her just going that extra mile a bit in terms of raising her level when it's most important, especially from the serve perspective. Obviously, we know how much of a weapon it is, but timely serving is really what this sport is about, and she's been able to get herself out of trouble with that weapon quite consistently. And I feel like I say the same things, but, like, when things do get a little difficult for her, she just ups the antics and
Yeah.
tries to throw all that pressure on her opponent and make them feel, kind of the atmosphere of the moment as well.
The match against Coco Gauff wasn't really a big topic, but just looking at the stats in the end, there was 6 double faults for Coco and 1 for Aryna Sabalenka in that match. And I just thought at that point, I just thought back to, she couldn't go a game without hitting a double fault 2 and a bit years ago, and it was a real issue for her. And of course, Coco is still kind of going through those motions. And Coco got to the end of the first set without hitting one, and then suddenly from that tie break when she hits one, I think at 4-5, wasn't it? In the tie break, she hits a double fault, she goes down 4-6, and then, unfortunately loses that tie break from her perspective and goes on to lose the match. But I just thought across 2, sets, that's quite remarkable that Sabalenka is only hitting 1 double fault in that particular encounter. I saw that encounter in its entirety. I saw her match against Pegula in its entirety. I only saw bits of the third set today, but Sabalenka, I do know in that second set, wasn't a million miles away from being bageled. She was 4-love down in the second set, and I saw her at deuce on her serve, and I was thinking, well, Anisimova breaks here, and we're staring down the barrel of a bagel, and, how often does that happen? And yet, she holds serve. She then gets one of the breaks back, and in a way, it felt like she took that momentum into the third set. Now, final, Rybakina, one of the toughest, I think, head-to-heads, and therefore one of the most difficult ones to call in so many ways. I mean, we had Coco against Iga that was very one direction for a long time, and now Coco seems to have made inroads, and the momentum has shifted there. This is not a matchup like that, or even a matchup perhaps like Paulini has just won her first match against Iga, and so on and so forth. We see them go momentum. The best examples on the ATP tour with, I think, Zverev and Sinner, where Medvedev and Sinner, where Medvedev won the first 6, and then I think now Sinner's on a run of 6 or 7 or even 8 wins in a row. So there's a clear pattern there. Here, every time you think one of the two has got the kibosh on the other, Sabalenka wins the first 3. And then you go into the Australian Open final of 2023, Brenner, and you're thinking, yeah, but this is a Grand Slam final. Sabalenka's not played one. I'm not sure she can handle the situation. Rybakina has. Rybakina's the ice queen, although perhaps after today she should be called the ace queen, given the fact that she's now hit over 500 aces across the year for the first time any WTA players done that since 2016. That was Pliskova, I think, did it that year. Anyway, but you go into that Grand Slam final, and yet it's Sabalenka who wins. And now it's 4-0 the head-to-head. So you think, oh, there's a problem there for Rybakina. She goes and wins back-to-back matches in Indian Wells and then Beijing in that year. And so, and I could go on, but you know what I mean? It's been and then recently they played in Wuhan. And I thought, you know what? Rybakina needs to win more. I think things are pretty good for Rybakina right now. She needed that win to obviously qualify. No, Sabalenka's like, no, thank you, I'm winning this one, and I can never quite tell, which way it's going to go.
I'm with you. I'm with you, and I think it makes tomorrow's match difficult to predict, obviously. And yeah, you kind of look at the timing of, we'll say, like the last three results. I actually do remember that quarterfinal in Berlin.
Yeah,
Very, very high
did
level.
Rybakina have a match point or two, maybe?
Yeah, it feels that way.
I think she might have had one in the tiebreak,
Yeah,
but it was super. And I think a net cord, maybe even on match point, went certainly, if not match point,
yeah,
certainly during the went Sabalenka's way. And don't forget, by the way, look, you can see there that she wins two tiebreaks to 6,
right,
and
right.
Rybakina wins one set comfortably. They also played here. Well, not here in my living room, but they played in Riyadh last year in 2020. Although they're welcome to play a match in my living room if they can just maybe not smash things up too much.
Right, right. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you in terms of like trying to follow this log. It's difficult, right? There's no kind of method to the madness in terms of what's at stake. We talked about this a few days ago with Sabalenka, the opportunity to lift this WTA final trophy for the first time. Also finished the year world number one. So I mean, it's obviously very, very meaningful. And as I mentioned, the emotion has been, more than the typical Sabalenka roars. So we know how much it means to her. But on the other side, it's more the, we'll call it crickets,
Yeah,
because Rybakina is not one to show that emotion. And you just think how, some of those pressure moments can go. And on one side of the net, it's screaming, it's back and forth with the coaching box, and on the other side, it's really just business as usual.
yeah.
There's not much going on, and that could that could play a little psychological factor. But I mean, we talk about it, some of the two of the best servers on tour, how important it is to get out in front. I think Sabalenka, even this tournament, but it's really been all year, just her ability to continue to add to her arsenal in a sense. And today it was just like her ability to hit these ground strokes on the run, passes at the net. There's a big point today where she passed Anisimova
Yes.
at the net after she guessed right. That was
Yes.
really impressive.
Yes.
And just defensive slices, continuing to extend points. And, Rybakina is one to kind of stay fairly tight to the baseline, try and take it early, hit it flat. And maybe she can rush Sabalenka a bit. That would probably be the way to put it. Get her on the move as much as you can. But as I talked about, I mean, it's just been impressive to see Sabalenka continue to improve to her already insane kind of foundation baseline level.
For those of you wondering, Rybakina needs to hit 27, actually 28, I think, aces tomorrow to go past that 2016 mark of Pliskova's, which was 530 aces for the year. So currently, Rybakina's on 503. So I'm pretty sure that mark won't be overtaken tomorrow. We'd have to have, I think, 3 tie breaks, and even then, Sabalenka's going to have a bad returning day. But anyway, still impressive for Rybakina, and the serve return dynamic, I think, is going to be very interesting. Whatever result we get, we're going to get a new winner again in this tournament. It's interesting how the rest of the tour, we see multiple winners at Roland Garros or in Australia or whatever. And yet at this event, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This will be the 10th year in a row where we've had a new winner. Not since Serena Williams won it in 2014, when that was obviously she was a serial winner and won it, I think, back to back. Actually, in fact, back to back to back. She won it 2012, 2013, 2014. But yeah, every year since then, since 2015, with Radwanska winning it all the way through to Coco last year, we've had a new winner. Now, come the crunch. Who's winning tomorrow, Brenna?
Feels like this is Sabalenka's time.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same. I'm going to go 3 sets. I think, Sabalenka's time. I think both have performed really well, but perhaps Rybakina peaked a bit, maybe in that Swiatek match, and we're just seeing a slight dip from her today, in particular with all those unforced errors. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to go Sabalenka in 3. What about you?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards the 2. I
Okay.
say that because I think Rybakina, it's really going to be interesting to see kind of gauging her health, but I feel like she's going to try and keep these points shorter, be the aggressor. as much as possible. Obviously, you don't want to be on the receiving end of Sabalenka dictating play, so we'll see. But yeah, I'll go 2.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.